two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Monroe Mann, YouTube #1 live streamer, according to my fans and in my mind. Today we're doing another episode of Rose Reads, where I take one of the books that I've read and the notes that I have used to help me understand the material better. I summarize things and provide my own perspective. If you want to follow along with the notes that I am going over, you can download them for free right in the YouTube store that is right here. I tagged the notes for this book, which is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is part 3 in this series. And I'm just going over now the 3rd page of notes. And I think I have about 6 pages of notes. There'll probably be 6 episodes of this, more or less. And great to see all you guys here and all of you who are about to come. What's up, K-Dots? How are you? Welcome aboard. Hope you'll click like and get ready because we're going to be talking a little bit about money now and psychology and how those two things go together. So the last time we stopped at towards the bottom, and I'm going to start at bottom of page 2. Good investing is about one thing: consistently not screwing up. And that's a very interesting thing because people think that good investing is about finding this diamond in the rough, this very unique opportunity, such as Bitcoin or some oil well that hasn't been discovered and making off like a bandit. No, that's not good investing. That's good speculating, and you ended up lucking into something that ended up being exponentially high in return. And that's not what he's talking about here. He's saying that good vesting is about one thing: consistently not screwing up. What's up, Flora? Great to see you in England. Hello from the United States to England. Warren Buffett, many say he's one of the best investors of all time. He has something what he called rule number 1. Rule number 1 is never lose money. And that's very interesting because it's related to what Morgan Housel here is saying is good investing is about one thing: consistently not screwing up, which is basically exactly what Warren Buffett says, which is never lose money. So in other words, the secret to becoming a good investor, what's up, Alice and Jamie? Welcome. Great to have you guys here. The secret, the number 1 step to being a good investor is learn how not to lose money. Your number 1 mission when you're trying to become a good investor is learn how to preserve the money that you already have. And it's great to see you, Flora. Too many people think, okay, I've got $500. This is awesome. I'm going to invest it immediately. I can't wait. I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I'm going to invest in some gold mine in Africa. Oh my gosh, there's a brand new crypto. Oh, AI is the hot thing. Let me invest in AI stocks. Stop. You got $500. Your very first mission is thinking, how do I make sure that my net worth never goes below $500? Meaning, how do I make sure that this $500 never gets lost? Because if you stop for a moment and say, how can I preserve the $500 first? That's when I talked about Jim Cramer last time. What's up, Tatsumaki? Welcome aboard to the Monroe Mann train. Welcome to Rose Reads. We're talking about the book Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I told you about Jim Cramer many times. His number 1 investing rule is only put the amount of money that you can lose into investments. And then of that investable capital, let's say that's 10% of your income, you should only take like 5% of that and invest it in very risky ventures. And you might think, well, if this whole purpose, I'm just saying, is the number 1, Morgan Housel said good investing is about one thing: consistently not screwing up. Well, then why are you even taking 5% of your investable capital and investing it in very risky ventures? Because you are spending 95% of your money putting it into investments that you're very unlikely to lose everything. That's why it blows my mind when I hear people telling me, oh, I got $100,000 inheritance and I'm putting all of it in Bitcoin. I wish them the best and I hope that they are right. And I hope that these people end up multimillionaires. But I don't know if you watch Bitcoin. Bitcoin was, what's up, Jasmine Connor? Welcome aboard. Hope you'll like and subscribe, be a part of this. We got a lot of cool stuff on this channel. Sometimes, if you bought Bitcoin 2 weeks ago, it was at 107,000, I think. I think I checked today. I'm not sure. Let's just see. Let's check what the value of Bitcoin is right now, right at this moment, because give me 10 seconds. Just want to log in here and see what Bitcoin is today. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 94,000. So check this out. Okay. There's Bitcoin. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Look over here where my pointer is. That was on December 17th. So it was about 3 weeks ago. Bitcoin was $106,000 and it's been flying and soaring and people thinking this is it. It's finally happening. It's heading up to $200,000. Well, guess what it is today? 94,000. So if you spent $106,000 on Bitcoin 3 weeks ago, now you're at 94,000. Am I telling you not to invest in Bitcoin? No, but you're violating Warren Buffett's rule number 1, which is never lose money. And anyone who put $106,000 into Bitcoin 3 weeks ago just lost $12,000. Now, people might say, no, it's all good. The price is going down and it's going to go up to 200,000 before the end of the year. That might happen. It very well may go up to 200,000, but it may not. And so that's what Morgan Housel's talking about in The Psychology of Money. Your first job as an investor is not to find the next Bitcoin. Your job as an investor is to apply Warren Buffett's rule number 1 and never lose money. And I'll repeat what Morgan Housel says in the book. Good investing is about one thing, consistently not screwing up. So if your job is not to screw up, what does that tell you should do? 1, only invest with money that you can afford to lose. Only invest money in very risky ventures that you 100% do not need. And only put a small percentage in very risky ventures because then you hope that the 95% that's invested in moderately risky ventures are going to overcome potential losses you could get from investing in the really risky ventures. Venture capital, starting a business, a restaurant, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, what else we got? Shiba Inu coin, etc., etc. Galaxy, great to see you here. Atomic UEL, great to have you here. Flora keeps her money under her pillow. Now, Flora, there's an element of smart money management by doing that. I think anybody who doesn't keep a portion of money in cash or in gold or something that is not in the banking system and not digital is good. Absolutely. The problem is everything in moderation. And you can read more about this at my website, Monroe Mann Financial Plan, or investlikeaninvestor.com. You can also download for free the top 10 investment myths that I created, PDF, and also the notes. These notes right here from the book, from Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money, you can download those for free also in my YouTube store. So no gimmicks, no bait and switch or whatever. Just go to my YouTube store and download it for free, and you can follow along. All right, so the next one. Let me see if there's any notes. Galaxy says, I'm here. Is my short helping with your channel? Galaxy, it's too soon to say. Too soon to say, but let's keep an eye on it. We will know based on how well that short does too. Let's see how that short does over time. But Galaxy is one of my fans. She made a very cool short promoting my channel and the breakdiving channel. I made a post for it in my my community here on YouTube. If you guys want to check it out, it's a fun, cool video, and I appreciate Galaxy. I believe Galaxy's name is Phoenix for taking such interest in me and my channel and my breakdiving channel and trying to help get me some new fans. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Next quotation again from my notes, or the next note that I took. There's only one way to stay wealthy. Some combination of frugality and paranoia. Now that's from the book. That is the book from Psychology of Money. He talks about you need to be, if you want to be wealthy and stay wealthy, you need frugality and paranoia. This is sort of a version of this. There's a book I read called Die with Zero. It's a brilliant book. Everybody should read that. And I'll be doing a whole section on Rose Reads about this book, Die with Zero too. And the whole concept is when you die, you should have zero money to your name. Nothing. You should spend absolutely everything. And it's a controversial topic because then people say, well, what about your kids? What about leaving a legacy and stuff? They're not mutually exclusive. You can die with zero and still leave a legacy, still help your kids. But what he does, which he says is very interesting, he goes, if you have kids, why are you waiting until you are dead and they are in their 50s or 60s to give them an inheritance? And now, great, they finally got $30,000 or $100,000 or $1 million. But at that point, their life is already kind of established and their knees are already hurting. When is the best time to bequeath money to your kids? Every 10 years. So you should give them some money when they're 20 and guide them on how to use it wisely. Give them some money when they're turned 30. Give them some money when they turn 40. And then when you die, when you're 80 years old, 90 years old, you've already given your kids an inheritance every 10 years or every 5 years. Why do I say this is related to what Morgan Housel says, which is staying wealthy is a combination of frugality and paranoia? It's the exact same thing. You have to die with zero, which is basically carpe diem, live for today. The other side of the coin is, what if you live to be 100? Some woman just lived, I think she's 109 years old. She's the oldest woman. She's a nun somewhere in Europe. Amazing. I met some guy at the VA hospital, the Veterans Hospital. I'm a veteran. His mother just celebrated her 99th birthday. So guess what? I'm 47. In some ways, I think, oh my gosh, I'm old. My mom, I think, is watching this. I set it up on her TV before I started the live stream. She's 75, turning 76 next week, January 19th. And she thinks she's old. There's a woman who's 109 years old who's still alive. I mean, like 76 is not old. So it's such a strange thing. You need to save up for your retirement by getting an IRA, individual retirement account, or putting money into your 401k. Yes, that's a good thing. And saving money under Flora Boutner's bed, or getting some gold coins, some gold jewelry. But if all you do is save money, which is the paranoia part, right? You're going to miss out on living a fun and rich life. You can be rich and wealthy. I could have, let's just say, $10 million in gold coins all around me in my apartment. $10 million of gold coins. But in my bank account, I have $2,000 a month from whatever. And I'm living super frugal. Well, are you really rich? You're rich on a bank statement. I've got $10 million of gold bullion, but I'm living like a pauper. I'm living like I'm poor. So in some ways, I don't agree with what he says here. He says, to stay wealthy is some combination of frugality and paranoia. In many ways, paranoia is what makes you frugal. And if you're too frugal, you become too paranoid about your money. So in some ways, I kind of feel like, yeah, you'll be wealthy. Let's say you've got $10 million, but if I just keep all of that, I'm frugal and paranoid, I keep $10 million of gold bullion right in my apartment, I'll be wealthy, But if I'm not using any of it, because you don't spend gold on a daily basis, you don't go out to the market, you don't buy a plane ticket to go on a trip to Brazil with gold bullion. So in some ways, yeah, that he's maybe right that that'll help you stay wealthy if you're frugal and paranoia. But it's only going to make you wealthy in a bank statement sense. It's not going to you're not going to be, no one else is going to look at you and goes, wow, Monroe Mann is wealthy. You go, what are you talking about? He doesn't own a car. He doesn't own a house. He never goes anywhere. He's just in his apartment. I go, yeah, but have you been in his apartment? It's got $10 million of gold in there. He does? Well, that's weird. He certainly doesn't live a life of a rich person. And I take some issue with that because, yeah, you'll stay wealthy from a bank point of view if you're frugal and paranoia, but you're not going to enjoy life. You're not going to have a rich life. And that's where I like that book, Die with Zero, because he talks about you need to save for a rainy day, but you need to enjoy your life today. And so you need to find a happy medium between saving for retirement and assuming you're going to die in the next 6 months. And any of you watching should really look at your financial situation from that point of view. I've decided that my mom and I are going to China this year. Don't care about the money anymore. And I'm going to be using some of my money. I'm going to use some of my mom's money. We're going to buy the tickets. We're going to go to, I have a spring break coming up from my physics class sometime in March. So I think it's going to be that week that I have off from my physics class. I found someone to take care of the dog. Why am I doing this? Because wealth and richness is not about money. It's about your life, your quality of life. I'll be looking at the notes in a second, the comments. So stand by. Bye, Galaxy. See you soon. Look at your life and see, is there something that I should be doing that I'm not? Because I am allowing money to get in the way of doing it. And you're saying, you know what, let me wait till later. Let me wait till I've paid off my credit card. Let me wait till I have a better job. Let me wait till I have more time off from work. And I am not encouraging anybody to become a crazy, irresponsible spender of money. But I'm encouraging you to read the book, Die with Zero. And of course, The Psychology of Money too. But Die with Zero will remind you the best dividends you get in life are not from money, they're from memories. And I went to this place, Jungle Island, a week and a half ago with my mom. We had such a wonderful time together. And she and I keep talking about it. There's a beautiful picture that we got. Look at that. There's me and my mom at Jungle Island. And that memory, it cost us $65, I think, for both of us, for the tickets and this and that. Worth it. It's worth so much. And it's also why we're going to China this year. Because I want my mom to have the memory and knowledge of knowing what my dad lived in Shanghai during part of World War II and in the aftermath of World War II in the Broadway Mansions Hotel with the U.S. Army took over the Broadway Mansions Hotel and the U.S. Army was stationed there. And it was kind of like a base for fighting the Japanese and the Pacific and the aftermath of the war after the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I lived there in Shanghai in 2014 and 2019. I drove by the Broadway Mansion Hotel, and I want my mom to have the same experience that my dad did and that I did. And I don't care about the money. And I'm realizing, I think about it, like if I died or my mom dies before we went and I showed her China, I would regret that so much more than thinking, oh gosh, because I'm just thinking, how much is it going to cost? Probably about $3,000, $3,000 to $4,000. And I'm thinking, but the memory of that trip is priceless, 100%. And she was always asking to my dad about China. She's asking me about China. It's like, it's time to show my mom China. So that's what I'm encouraging you guys to just think about in terms of wealth. Now this guy is right. Morgan Housel, he says, look, right down here, there's only one way to stay wealthy, some combination of frugality and paranoia. That's true if we're just talking about wealth as dollars. But wealth is also experiences. And so you need to weigh that. You do not want to be Uncle Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, and the only mission in life is to amass more and more money. And who cares about life experiences? You've seen Mickey's Christmas Carol, or you've read Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and you know that he is completely frugal and paranoia to the point of antisocial behavior, losing friends, no life experiences that are great, until the end, after he's seen the ghosts of Christmas past, future, and present. He realizes money is not the most important thing. Amassing money should be a tool that you use to go and make your life truly wealthy. Let's look at some comments. And let's see. Got Phoenix's name right. That's right, Galaxy. What's up, K-Dots? You found me in November. That's a long time. Time flies. It seems like it was yesterday. K-Dot says the biggest what if is what if I didn't actually click on your stream. That's right, K-Dot. That's right. Which comes to the summary of what I'm talking about today. It's all about K-Dots. And I'm glad that he found this live stream. K-Dot says, congrats to my mom. Thank you. I think maybe congrats to my mom. Happy birthday. I appreciate that. Flora's smiling. Galaxy, I'm eating my mom's homemade chicken. It sounds delicious. Flora lives a simple life. That's very good, Flora. And I am the best YouTuber, K-Dots. I appreciate that. Milo Katz just hit 1,000 subs. Sorry if I said this. Congratulations. I'm very, very happy for you. It's really good. Before I die, I'm going to do all the things I ever wanted. That's the idea. And that's one of the main things I want from my channel, and also the breakdiving channel, is to inspire you guys to please do everything that you want to do before you die, or at least try your darndest to do all those things. They've done a lot of studies. As some of you guys know, I have a PhD in psychology, and I've done some research on this. And the biggest regrets that people have on their deathbeds are things that they wish they had tried, but didn't. I wish I had gone skydiving. I wish I had gotten married. I wish I had kids. I wish I had been less scared to invest in the stock market. I wish I had traveled more. I wish I had spent more time with my friends. Whatever. But really think about, if you were on your deathbed today and you had 3 days to live, well, let's say even one day to live. You're going to die in 2 hours. And you go, well, that's weird. 2 hours to live. What are all the things that you wish you would have done? That's kind of why I decided about China and going there this year regardless. And possibly India too. I want to go to India for so many reasons. I love India. I love the culture. I love that movie, 3 Idiots. If you haven't watched it, it's really funny, hilarious, heartwarming, touching. I'm a web developer, and there's such a tech scene over there in India. I have a lot of friends in India. Breakdiving has the most members in India. So, there's so many reasons to go there. But I thought to myself, let's just say I was about to die in an hour. What are the things that I would have regretted not doing? Going to China, going to India, and going back to Paris, going back to Lugano, Switzerland, going to visiting Australia and Oceania and New Zealand, that area. I want to go to parts of Africa, so maybe going to see Nigeria, going to Ghana, going to Rwanda. I haven't figured out exactly where yet. What else? Spending more time with my mom, even though I've been doing a good job with that and helping her. Wish I had done more to make this YouTube channel more successful. I wish I had worked harder to get the breakdiving channel monetized. We're at 1,137 watch hours now, so we're almost halfway, 1,500, so I'm getting there. I wish I had gotten married and had kids. I'm working on that. I'm trying to find somebody who I can put up with and who can put up with me. Those are two very difficult, those are tall orders, but that's something that I would wish to do. I am trying to think, what else do I wish I'd done if I were going to die in an hour? I wish I had done more with real estate investing and see if which again, and all these things, I just think about them, and then guess what? That becomes your target for this year. Can I go to China this year? Yes. Can I go to India? Yes. Can I spend more time with my mom? Yes. Can I do more real estate investing? Yes. Can I work harder to try to find a wife? Yes. Etc., etc., etc. It does not mean that everything's going to happen this year. And the truth is, what's the likelihood that I'm going to die this year? Pretty low. And the likelihood I'm going to die in the next week, even more unlikely. But and something else that I missed that I'm working on this too. I'm surprised it wasn't right up top, but I want breakdiving, my community at breakdiving.io, to become a global success story, because we're already helping countless numbers of people already. Imagine if we become bigger. So again, these things help you to really focus your life and focus your time, energy, and financial habits. Where I spend my money is now influenced based on the fact that I realize going back to China this year is of paramount importance. Real estate investing, super important. Breakdiving, huge importance. You notice I never mentioned Intertect, my private investigation firm that I shut down pretty much about a week ago. Because after doing this analysis and also reading that book, Essentialism, I realized that don't put any of your time and money into something that you do not absolutely love. I love breakdiving. I love my YouTube channels. I love traveling. I love my mom. I love investing. Well, that's where I should be spending my money. I love learning. I love reading. Great. Okay, that's why I keep reading these books. That's why I keep going to school, why I'm doing this physics class. I started physics last Saturday. Fantastic. I was learning about force, mass, acceleration, constant acceleration, how to calculate that based on whether you have the time, whether you have the distance, whether you have this, that, the velocity. Super fascinating stuff. All worth my time. Flora says yes. K-Dot says time is more valuable than money. K-Dot, I was reading something recently, and it really helped change me. Time is more valuable than money, but there's something more valuable than time. The use of your free time. Because let's say everybody at least has 1 hour of free time per day. Everybody. The question is, how does every individual spend the use of that free time? And that's the key. Because a lot of time, people have a lot of time, but they use their free time and they squander it. They spend 6 hours just chilling at the beach, tanning. What I always like to do, and you'll read this in my book, Time Zen. I'm probably going to upload it to my YouTube store soon, so you can download a PDF version if you want. But I always tell people, you can multitask without, and I think if you do it correctly, you can synergize. Too many people think if you multitask, your brain is going off in different directions and you're reducing your effectiveness and your efficiency. I think you can be twice as efficient and twice as effective sometimes if you synergize things correctly. I call it synergistic diversification. Create all of your dreams and then figure out how you can synergize them all together so that the success of one leads to the success of many. For example, this YouTube channel. I also talk about my books. I also talk about my breakdiving channel. Breakdiving, half the time on the breakdiving channel, I'm doing these study halls. What am I doing during the study halls? I'm actually responding to emails, working on legal work for clients, managing investments, whatever it may be. But you can synergize things. You don't have to. So in other words, you don't have to just go to the beach and sit there and tan. If you're going to go out to the beach and tan, first of all, you should wear sunblock, SPF 30 or higher. But number two, why don't you read a book? I think it's so, like, I went out, remember you guys, some of you guys were here when I did my live from Miami Beach when I was at the beach about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. After the stream, I sat there for an hour and I read these books. And so I went to the beach, and I'm just thinking all the things I got done. I rode my bike to the beach, got some exercise. While I was at the beach in the water, I was live streaming with you guys. I wanted to go swimming. You guys didn't want me to stop the live stream, so what did I do? I put my phone on the beach facing the water, and you guys actually watched me swim. Talk about synergistic diversification. I'm getting fans, getting exercise. Same thing with me doing my fitness streams, and I'll probably do one tomorrow morning. How cool. I'm doing fitness and making money because people super chat me and from the ads, and growing the YouTube channel and growing fans all at the same time. Now that's time management, guys. So and it's the same thing with money. If you say, I don't have enough time to invest. Yeah, you do. Realize that you can synergize things and get a lot of things done all at the same time. Jackson says, how's your day? It's going well. Great. Thanks for asking. K. says, I finally found someone. What do you mean you found someone? What do you mean? Like a romantic somebody? What's up, Jackson, football kid? Galaxy's back. Football who watches these streams. That likes football who watches these streams. I like football. I'm just not a super duper fan. But I'll watch the Super Bowl. I'll watch a college game every once in a while. On Hulu right now, or Amazon Prime. No, it's on Amazon Prime. There is a great documentary about Madden football, and it explains exactly how this became the franchise that it did, and how it became such an incredible video game that the players use it to train and to learn football strategy so that they get better playing at the NFL. I mean, it's a great documentary. You should watch that, K-Dots. Thanks for saying, I love your channel. No one else on YouTube makes me happier. K-Dots, you saying that makes me so happy. I appreciate that so much. Flora says, I have a me time once a week. That's very good. You should have a me time more than once a week. From DuckTales. Sorry, I'm asking. Yeah, Scrooge McDuck is also in DuckTales. It's the same one. So it's the same Uncle Scrooge from DuckTales. But the Scrooge McDuck in DuckTales was a little bit nicer of a person than the Uncle Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge, from Mickey's Christmas Carol or Dickens' A Christmas Carol. So, all right, moving back here. The next quote, the next notes that I took from the book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Next up, earning or getting money is one thing. Keeping it is another. I'll say that again. Earning or getting money is one thing. Keeping it is another. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you look this up, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very hard to keep generational wealth. What does that mean? Let's just say, like for example, my dad, my grandpa, my grandfather's on both sides of the story. Well, yeah, my dad's father was very poor, dirt poor. My dad grew up in the Depression, or basically was born in 1922. So he was a little kid during the Great Depression. And my mother's father, he was an emergency room, a trauma surgeon. But he died of a heart attack when my mom was like 19 or something like that. So I guess he made a good money. My grandpa on my father's side did not. My dad did make a decent amount of money. He was an incredible litigation attorney. But now both of my sisters are not super wealthy. I haven't talked to them in years, so I don't really know, but I imagine they're not, they're both just working jobs. And me, I'm this entrepreneurial crazy guy who's off doing all of this stuff all the time. I have not been able to keep it at the same level. I'm working my butt off to get it back up there, and I think I can do it. Maybe, maybe not. But it is so hard to keep wealth in the family. And they say that typically, if the grandparents are super wealthy, then the grandkids often are not, unless an incredible amount of planning is in place and trusts and business transferring and plan. So, for example, just as Donald Trump is far more wealthy than his father, it's curious now. Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Ivanka Trump, all wealthy now, but because of dad and because they worked in the Trump empire. The question is, now let's see if Kai Trump and any of like Ivanka's, Eric and Donald Trump Jr.'s kids, let's see if they are as wealthy as Donald Trump. It's very, very hard to transfer things. Thank you, Jamie, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. You're on the super board once again. All right, this is the 68th. Oh, by the way, we're up to, I think, $240 so far this month. So we're almost at goal number 1 of 300. And Jamie just got us a little bit closer. And thank you to all of you who are able. First of all, thank you to all of you who are, let's see, inside. Oh, let me just put out which stream was this. It was Rose Reads. This will actually help me in tracking that. Thank you to any of you who are just watching, but also a great shout out to people like Jamie who were able to help me to really make this thing a living. And I believe I can do it. I don't know how long it's going to take, but any of you, if you ever come into a windfall or you get a raise or you get a promotion or something, you get some great investment returns, maybe come and go, you know what? I remember that guy Monroe and he really guided me, helped me. Let me give him a $5 super chat. Believe it or not, it all adds up. And I don't want any of you to ever think that it's, I can only do 99 cents or I can only do 100 rupees, Indian rupees, which is something like 60 cents American. I don't care. I'm so happy. I appreciate anyone who says, hey, I appreciate the valuable stuff you're sharing and I want to give you a shout out. So, and when you do, I will give you a shout out, just so you know. So it's talking about the generational wealth. And what he said right here is earning or getting money is one thing, keeping it is another. And we're going to talk about something else later. I came up with this concept of the difference between being rich and being wealthy. And Robert Kiyosaki talks about the definition of wealth that his rich dad shared with him, which is wealth is measured in time. How wealthy you are is calculated by determining if you lost all sources of income today, how long could you survive without changing your current standard of living? This is why I haven't had to have worked for, 9 months, because I saved up a bunch of money. I am working on finding a job now, and I'm talking back to EF, Education First. I want to go back and teach there again. Also, because I'm realizing now that I'm a professional YouTuber, I can hand out my YouTube cards to all the students, and they can go back to Europe, back to Africa, back to Asia, subscribe, get their friends to subscribe. I think it also, again, synergistic diversification. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 3 birds with 1 stone. I get the social aspect of being around all those students, and they give me lots of energy and excitement. 2, I make friends with the students. 3, can get some more YouTube fans. And 4, make some extra money and stop depleting my savings and investments. Keeping your money is harder than earning it. Think about that. I can give you a simple example showing that's true. How many people do you know who work their entire lives? They work their entire lives. What's going on, K-Dots football? I would donate if I could, but my parents won't let me. Athena says professional, huh? You have to super chat to give me that. Come on, that was a low blow, Athena. You better step up with 99 cents right now. I'm getting rid of that. Athena knows the rules. Athena knows the rules and just completely violated it. Athena's going to start some beef. So, I want you to recognize that The example I was going to give is how many people do you know that work until they're 70, 80 years old? They're still working because they've gotten extremely good at earning money. They're not good at keeping the money. Not everybody. There are countless stories of the janitor who works as a custodian at a high school or a college, very unassuming, very drives an old jalopy of a car, and then he dies and he bequeaths $10 million to the high school. And if you look online on Google or whatever, you will see there are many stories like this. So I'm not saying that it applies to everybody who's working. And a lot of people don't want to retire because it's fun to work. You got to do something. But 9 times out of 10, people keep working for their entire lives because they have to. And I know Athena, if we can take him at his word, is already retired at age 30. And if so, as I said, I give you my salute. I think that's wonderful. And I'm proud of you, and you're an inspiration to everybody else. But he's the exception, not the rule. Most people have to constantly work because they're no good at keeping their money. And we're going back up to what I said earlier. Good investing is about one thing, consistently not screwing up. Remember, if you can earn money, you should much better, you are better served if you would spend 70% of your time learning how to invest and keep your money and only learn 30% how to earn it. Because then that little 30% of time that you're learning how to earn it, you can take that money and put it into your investments. And I don't think any of us is spending enough time learning about how to keep our money at the level that we should be. But not only how do we keep the money, how do we keep it? Remember, rule number 1, never lose money. But how do we go even further? How do we never lose money? And then step 2, how do we increase that money to a higher level while at the same time not losing it? Athena's giving me a salute. K-Dot says, boba, boba, boba. So moving on. Next, these are notes I took from reading The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I recommend you read it. You can download these notes for free on my YouTube channel store. They're not a substitute for buying the book. They're just my thoughts, and some of them may come out of context. Certainly recommend that you read the book yourself. Okay, the Forbes 400 list has on average roughly a 20% turnover per decade. .. Capitalism is hard. Capitalism is hard. Why did I write this down? What's the lesson to be learned from this? This is the Forbes 400. What is the Forbes 400? I'm getting hotter and hotter the more I live stream here. All this talk about money is getting me hot, ladies and gentlemen. The Forbes 400 has a 20% turnover every decade. So that 400, that means the top 400 companies that make it onto this Forbes 400 list. What is 20%? It's about, what is that? 85 people, 80 of these companies. Think about how bonkers that is. These are hugely successful companies. And then they're going to get removed from the Forbes 400. 20% of them no longer as profitable, no longer doing as well. How does that help? In terms of why is that good for you to know? Even the best of the best have a hard time keeping the money that they're making and keeping the level of profitability high. Okay, next note. Getting money and keeping money are two very different skills. We just talked about that. I think our society teaches us how to earn money. Does not teach us how to keep money. And it certainly does not teach us how to invest money. Number 1, learn how to earn money. They say that it takes money to make money. It does to an extent. You can turn $10 into a fortune on the stock market, but you cannot get started on the stock market without any money. You need some money, okay? You need some money to hold on, I'm just gonna K-Dots, stop promoting your channel when you're on here. I have to do, if everyone comes on here and is promoting their channel, then it interferes with everything. I don't want people leaving here to go subscribe to your channel. I'm happy to support you, but it's got to be under my rules. I've only got 3 people here watching, and you're asking you're asking them to go and go subscribe to your channel. So I love you, but don't be doing that. Really think about what you should be working on all 3 aspects of money management constantly. How can I earn more money? How can I keep more of the money that I've earned? And of that money that I've kept, how can I increase its value through investment? Ultimately, you want money to work for you. You might be an employee now, and that's how you're earning money, but you need to become the manager and CEO of your own investment company, and all of your employees are your dollar bills. And so and maybe that's an analogy that'll help you understand things better, is every time you lose $1, you just lost an employee. Every time you lose $1. So anyone who invested in Bitcoin 3 weeks ago and put $106,000 in, which was how much it was worth 3 weeks ago, now has $94,000. So that person lost, what was that? 12,000 employees. It's a strange analogy, but it's a valid analogy because it'll help you to realize, why would you want to lose any employees if you don't have to? We could talk about management. Sometimes a company becomes efficient by cutting staff, but usually they cut staff when they're having financial difficulties. In this case, is you have financial difficulties because your employees left. Who are the employees? Your dollars that you invested into something that went under. So you absolutely want to learn, how can you keep your employees from leaving your company? Who are your employees? Your dollar bills. So look at your bank account now and see how much money is there. And if you think it makes sense, when you pay your rent or you pay your mortgage, you're basically assigning some 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 employees to go do some work on your behalf. And in return for your employees going to go work for you, you get to live in your home for another month. And by the way, any of you who own a house and think that you own it and then how you're somehow different from people who rent, you're not. You have a landlord too. It's called the government. And if you don't pay the government the taxes, you lose your home. Just like if you don't pay your rent, your landlord kicks you out. If you don't pay your taxes or your mortgage, if you don't pay the mortgage, the bank kicks you out. If you don't pay your taxes, the government kicks you out. Nobody owns a home. That's a complete fallacy. I personally think that if you buy your home, you should be able to buy it and completely flat out, and you don't owe any money to the government. And maybe that means when you buy the house, you have to pay a certain amount of taxes or something like that. But it should be a one-time fee, and that's it. Done. And if you give it to your kids, guess what? They don't have to pay any taxes on it either. Then you actually own your home. The only people who actually own property in any country is the government. So the US government basically owns every single piece of property in the United States. Because if every single person stops paying property taxes, guess what? Government takes it over. Now, granted, maybe it's the county government or the city or the state, but nobody owns a home. Let me see. Flora says, I won't go, that's for sure. Thank you. Flora says, I have a virus, that's why I'm up so late. Well, I'm glad you are still watching, and I appreciate that. So the next is compounding only works if you give it years and years. It's like planting an oak tree. 1 year is nothing, 10 years, and you see big gains. There's a app called Acorns, and it's a financial investment app. And it's maybe only available in the United States, but the whole idea is you just throw money at it every single week, and you get investment returns. It's just going into an index fund that Acorns has chosen, but it's super simple and it's super easy. And I'm of many of my investment accounts. One of them is Acorns. But why did they call it acorns? Because an acorn turns into an oak tree. And one little planting of an oak seed can flourish and become a monster oak tree that stands the test of time. I'll read this again. Compounding only works if you give it years and years. It's like planting an oak tree. 1 year is nothing, 10 years and you see big gains. And that is the key. Even Warren Buffett talks about this. And that's why what his strategy of investing is buy and hold. Just buy the company and never sell it. That's his thing, is I buy companies and I do not sell them. And he has made billions and billions of dollars using that investment strategy. Now, how does he do that too? Using number one, which is what? Never lose money. That's his number one rule. So anytime he buys a company, he first does an incredible amount of analysis to make sure that the company he buys is not going to lose money. And buying his company, you can buy Berkshire A and Berkshire B. Berkshire A is the undiluted stock. I think each share is worth like 28,000 or 2,500. I forget exactly what it is. You know what? Let's find out exactly here so you know. I don't want to talk randomly and give you bad information. But the Berk A is the undiluted one. So BRK. Berkshire A's are $444 per share. Berkshire B, actually, it's the other way around. Berkshire B is the big one. Each share is $666,000. So if you buy Berkshire Hathaway, Berkshire A, it's $666,000. The more diluted version is Berkshire B, which is $444 per share. With fractional ownership, you can basically buy either now. I own shares of both Berkshire A and Berkshire B, but they're essentially in many ways the same stock. Why is his investing in his stocks not a bad potential investment? Because of the scrutiny through which he researches each one of his investments. So you know that he and his partner, I forget his partner's name. That's Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger is his partner, and I believe Charlie Munger is the guy who's going to take over when Warren Buffett passes away. And Charlie Munger is taught by Buffett and has trained him and taught him how to do absolutely, basically everything that he knows how to do. You need to have the discipline to start investing and keep going. And it applies to absolutely everything that we're doing. Even with YouTube. I mean, I started in 2006, 2007, nothing much happened. 2008, 2009, all the way to 2015, not much happened. 2018, not much happened. 2020, not much happens. 2023, 24, summer or spring, suddenly I started doing live streaming, and then boom, the channel started to gain traction. Still not gaining massive followers like I was over the summer, but I'm making money from it now. That's a step in the right direction. My point is, how many times in the last 8 months since I started, let's say May, June, July, August, September. Let's talk about when I got monetized. So August, September, October, November, December, January. It was only 6 months ago. And I'm complaining that I'm not a huge YouTube star yet. But listen, compounding only works if you give it years and years. It's like planting an oak tree. 1 year is nothing, 10 years and you see big gains. Well, I've only been doing this 6 months as a professional YouTuber. So what I need to do is wait and keep pushing forward, because the more and more every single person who joins, every person who becomes a subscriber, growing and growing and growing, Maybe eventually it'll have it. It seems like it's going up like this. But maybe I don't realize it, but maybe it's actually getting ready to have a big exponential jump. Who knows? Don't know yet. But I'm not going to quit after 6 months and saying, oh, it didn't work. But that's what people do with their financial investing. They start investing for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year, and they go, it's not giving me the returns that I want. Same thing with real estate investing. People buy an investment property, and let's talk about a long-term property, long-term rental, where you get a mortgage, and then you get a renter. Let's say the mortgage costs $1,000 a month, and you rent it for, and let's say that and then the taxes cost $500 a month, and then making sure there's enough money for emergencies and blah, blah. Let's just say it's $2,000 a month expenses, but you rent it for $2,500 a month. That means the tenant is paying for the mortgage, and you're going to get $500 of profit every month in your pocket. The taxes are paid for by the tenant. I mean, everything's paid for by the tenant, including repairs. But you look at, so you're thinking, oh yeah, but it's only $500 a month that I'm earning, and the mortgage is only going down by like $100 a month. That's true. And I'm talking about a 30-year mortgage. For the first 3 years, it's not that much that's going into equity. But starting in like the 4th year, the 5th year, the 6th year, all of a sudden you start to see it. Now it's $170 a month. Then it's $190, then $250, then $300. And your tenant is paying for this the whole time. And then your tenant is still paying the rent. You increase the rent when taxes and homeowner HOA fees and expenses go up, that's fine. But the mortgage value, the amount going towards equity in your home is going up. You're not going to benefit greatly in the first few years because the bank doesn't want to take the risk of you foreclosing. They want money up front because they gave you this property. They gave you the loan. But if you can hold on after year 4, after year 5, after year 7, it starts to exponentially increase and your wealth goes up by a significant amount every single month. So if you can hold on to a real estate property that you've invested in, you're going to do well, especially because the value of that property is going up as well. The value is going up in most cases. It's the same thing with compounding in the stock market. If you just put it in for a year and then you take it out and you take out money, you're taking away the money that is finally starting to compound. Just do a little calculator. You can find them on there and stuff. And you're saying how much, if you put $10,000 into the S&P 500 today, how much is it going to be worth in 10 years? How much will it be worth in 20 years? How much will it be worth in 30? You will be flabbergasted as long as you don't touch it. And in best case scenario, you're actually adding $100 to that every single month, or $200 to it every single month. And then talking about options and selling covered calls. I gotta do a short. I'm gonna do a short, I think tomorrow, where I actually sell a covered call on the S&P 500 because I want you guys to know how to do it and just see, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. And I think I'll do a longer version as well to explain options. Anyway, K-Dots, have a good one. Shower well, my friend. Use soap, shampoo, and conditioner. Remember to towel dry. Let me go. One more. I'm going to go to two more notes, and then I think maybe we'll call it quits for today on this one. So the next note that I took while reading The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Flora, I'm glad you're still here. So here are my notes I wrote. Warren Buffett survived. He didn't get carried away with debt. He didn't panic and sell during the 14 recessions. He didn't hurt his business reputation. He didn't attach himself to just one strategy or worldview or one trend. He didn't rely on others' money. And he didn't burn himself out and quit or retire. In other words, he abided by his first rule of investing, which is never lose money. And that's what he did. He did not lose money, but he also allowed his investments to compound. He did research on them and said, these are sound companies. And then he said he bought them and he get, all right, now let's make sure that this company just continues going on its merry, merry way. That's why a lot of people read the Berkshire Hathaway annual report to shareholders, because he shares investment advice. He explains how he chose the companies that he bought. And he explained, and so again, you can buy Berkshire Hathaway. You can also then say, okay, what stocks and companies is Berkshire Hathaway purchasing? I want to buy stock in those particular companies as well. And moving on to the next one, you need to avoid ruin at all costs. And I think this is going to be a good place to end for tonight. You need to avoid ruin at all costs. What's Morgan Housel talking about here? You cannot put all of your money into one investment asset. I don't care which one it is. You cannot put all of your money into real estate. You cannot put just imagine, people say, no, real estate is good. Or people say, no, I would diversify and I'd buy multiple properties. Then it doesn't matter. You know that there are some real estate people, real estate investors in California who just lost every single property they have owned. Now, granted, let's assume that they had fire insurance. Many of them didn't. And I mean, the aftermath of this still hasn't been felt yet. Some of those fires are still roaring and they are not contained at all, which means more destruction, more fire. Let's hope no more deaths. Let's just talk about the property destruction. Some people think, oh, you know what? Let me just buy real estate in one city or in one area. And they think they're diversified because they've got it spread out over the area. I guarantee you there is somebody who owns 10 properties and they lost every single one of those rental properties because of the fire. And I'm not saying that you need to have rental properties in every city or every county. My mom and I sold a property in Maine that we had recently because it was, management-wise, it was not easy. It's like 1,500 miles away. I was freaked out in the winter, thinking, oh my gosh, are the pipes going to freeze? I had to constantly check the temperatures. And the Airbnb was doing really well in the winter, but in the summer was not. So we had to pay for mortgage out of pocket. So we sold it. So I'm not telling you that you need to diversify in that way, but I'm telling you diversification is key. And if you go to Monroe Mann Financial Plan or investlikeaninvestor.com, those are my two financial management sites, it talks about my investor acronym, INVESTOR. Well, the R is real estate. What are all the others? Those are all the other places where you should diversify your investments so that you don't lose money. By the way, if you're new, thank you for clicking like, double tap the screen. Thanks for subscribing. Great to have you here. What did he say in the book? Morgan Housel said, you need to avoid ruin at all costs. In other words, you need backups and redundancy plans, savings accounts, emergency funds, insurance, life insurance, fire insurance, flood insurance, self-insurance. You don't have to do absolutely everything. You don't have to do absolutely everything. But you got to do enough that if one of your investments fails, you're still alive and you're still kicking. I guarantee you some of these Hollywood stars or even just homeowners, their biggest investment was in their home. And maybe some of them put all of their extra money into paying off the mortgage. Some of them didn't have fire insurance because fire insurance, a lot of them left that area like 5-10 years ago, whenever, during the last fire. Can you imagine if you put all of your money into your home and you didn't have insurance on it and you got ruined? Be absolutely heartbreaking. And I hope none of you are in that situation. and I hope you can learn from that unfortunate situation that's going on in California, you had better diversify your portfolio. The I is intellectual property and insurance. The N is your never touch fund. V is venture capital. E is education. S is the stock market. T is treasuries. O is your own business. And R is real estate. I own in every single asset class. And I would be devastated emotionally if one of those investments that I've put into one of those things just completely goes belly up, but I wouldn't be financially destroyed. And everything would be okay. That's why I'm telling you, do not look for the next, let me clarify. Go ahead and look for the next up and coming Bitcoin. Look for the next incredible opportunity. But don't you put all of your money invested into that. That's just crazy. What does he say here? You need to avoid ruin at all costs. So your homework for today is to go through every single investment you have, everything you own, everything that's about your life, and it could be your health too. Everything. And you need to ask yourself, if I lost this tomorrow, all of it, how would I have total ruin? How much would it ruin me? If you have your entire life savings in your 401k, and your 401k is invested into one stock, you are a complete and total idiot. Because if that stock tanks, your 401k is tanking too, and you've got nothing. Now, granted, if you put all of your money and you invested in one stock, and that stock triples in price in the next year, good for you. But the likelihood of that happening is so slim that you should never bank your entire portfolio on that one black swan. If you don't know what a black swan is, it is, well, I was just saying look it up, but let me not be that guy. It's something that, such a crazy event, you could never have predicted it. 9/11 was a black swan. In retrospect, it was very obvious, but not prior to. Granted, it was very obvious to Hollywood screenwriters. It was very obvious to the law enforcement personnel who said, hey, I'm investigating these people who are learning how to fly airplanes but not learning how to land. And I think this could be a problem. And his higher-ups, I think it was at the FBI, said, I don't care. That's absurd. Stop wasting your time on that. And if the higher-ups had listened to him, 9/11 may not have happened. It was such a black swan that the higher-ups didn't even listen. But it's also because they were foolish not to listen to him. They should have. You can have black swans in your life, and they could be positive or negative. Just like you could never you can't predict good things happening. There's no way to predict something like tomorrow you found out that you had some long lost uncle in Africa and he was so wealthy, and you find out you're a prince in Africa, and you've got millions of dollars. That's a black swan on the positive side. Black swans also happen on the negative side. Obviously, negative ones have a larger impact on you because they could devastate you. And that's what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid financial ruin by trying to plan for every contingency. You can't. Again, a black swan is a black swan because it's a black swan. You can't predict it. But you can do your best to minimize the damage from when something like that does happen. For example, Apple, huge company. And there is somebody right now who has all of his or her money invested only in Apple. Many people would say, well, that's not a bad idea. That's a very strong investment. It's a very powerful company. It survived the death of its founder, Steve Jobs. And Tim Cook is doing a great job keeping it going forward. Apple is still an innovator. Did we predict ChatGPT? No. It was another black swan that just came about We should have been able to predict it, but we couldn't. We should have been able to predict that AI was going to come, but it came faster than any of us could have imagined. And Google got caught completely off guard. And to be honest, I don't use any search engine as often as I once did. I used to use Bing and Google and DuckDuckGo, whatever. Now, most of the time, I will search through ChatGPT first, and I'll say, please search on the internet and give me a list of the best, whatever, the best tax planning software programs that are available. ChatGPT does a much better job than me going on and looking on CNET individually, going on Google and searching. ChatGPT cuts down my research time from 60 minutes to 5 minutes. And then you can just look at the top 3 websites. Google is caught completely off guard. Google is trying to catch up by creating Gemini, but they were rushing so hard to come to market that they released that the AI that was giving really inaccurate information, that was historically inaccurate. Now, ChatGPT is no angel either. It causes problems, and you should not rely on it. People use ChatGPT all the time to fill out their applications to join breakdiving, and the answers are always wrong. So ChatGPT is not flawless, but it was such a disruptor that it's everyone's hustling to try to catch up. What my final summary here is I don't want you to get financially caught off guard because Apple suddenly gets dethroned and suddenly their market capitalization drops dramatically and there's a huge sell-off and your $1 million that you invested into Apple is now worth $50,000. That's not good. That is not good, especially if that's your entire retirement. You went from $1 million to $50,000 because you assumed that Apple could never fail. This is why I always tell you guys, invest in the S&P 500 because it's the top 500 companies in the United States, and the likelihood of it failing. What's up, V? The likelihood of the S&P 500 tanking is dependent only on the likelihood that the United States economy tanks. And yet, if the people who had invested in the stock market, there's been a lot of studies that the only people who completely lost everything during the stock market crash of 1929 were the people who were non-diversified, number one, and who pulled out their money when the stock market crashed. If you had a very diverse portfolio akin to the S&P 500 back in 1929 and you just held on, it would have rebounded like crazy over the next 20 years, and you would have become a multi-millionaire. Check that out and say, what happens if I did not sell during the stock market crash in 1929? So, the idea is, at least for this session, buy and hold. That's one lesson. But the other thing is, remember, what do I say here? You need to avoid ruin at all costs. I am willing to forego the potential for exponential investment returns if it means that the things that I do invest in are making moderate investment returns by and large, and I avoid losing my money. That's why, again, Jim Cramer, I keep talking about it, you need to have only, let's say 10% of your money is investable assets, and then of those 10%, only literally 5% of that is what you put into really risky investments, cryptocurrency, and let me go back and clarify what risky is. Risky to me is something different than risky to you. Options, selling covered calls on the S&P 500 to me is not risky at all because I understand it very well. Not completely well. There are people who know it better than me, but I understand it so well now that I know how to not lose my shirt. I will never lose at a great level anymore with selling covered calls. Now, I'm learning about doing something called iron condors and iron butterflies right now, which is a more complicated form of options trading. Covered calls to me is not risky. Iron condors and iron butterflies, absolutely risky. Why? Because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I got this book today. I ordered it a few weeks ago, and it's by some guy. You can't buy this. I don't know if you can buy this book on the internet, but it just cost me $20, and I found I liked his what he was sharing, because it's similar. I think it's iron butterflies and iron condors. It's called the money press method. How to generate consistent income using weekly options no matter what the market does. To someone who doesn't understand options, they're not going to know what this is, and it seems complicated. If you're doing something no matter what the market does, then you are doing an iron condor or an iron butterfly. I'm almost 100% certain that that's what this is about. And he doesn't say on here, but I'm almost certain that's what this is. Oh, how nice. Supposedly it is signed by the author. You know how I could tell if it's signed? I lick my finger. Nope, that's not officially signed. I think it was printed in there. But anyway, I'm trying to move from, like I said, covered call options, no problem, no risk for me. Iron condors, iron butterflies, complete risk for me right now. It's why I've started a tasty trade account, because you can do paper trading with iron condors and iron butterflies on Tasty Trade. I'm going to start doing that only to learn how the concept works, to make sure when I buy, it buys correctly. By the way, if any of you guys could click like, I know there's some new people here, double tap the screen. Thank you very much. That'll encourage other people to watch this live stream later. I'm going to be posting a short tomorrow, I'm hoping, if I remember, where I do an actual live selling of covered call on the S&P 500. And I'll just show you how that works. And the fact that you can do a 3-minute short now, I think that'll be perfect amount of time. Riskiness for me is not riskiness for you. Each of you have something that you do so much better than me, and you have so much more experience that there's no risk for you. But it's risky for me. Skydiving for you is far more risky than skydiving for me. And in fact, I had that parachute malfunction about 5 months ago. And I told you about that when my main parachute opened and it was tangled. Then I had to get rid of the main and open the reserve. And it was a little bit scary. But now skydiving is even less risky for me because I have been through this emergency. And I know, wow, I know how to get out of it. And I trust my equipment even more now. So I was talking about you should only put 5% of your investable assets into risky ventures. Risky for me is different from risky for you. So that's why I caught myself before when I was saying, if you invest, investing in crypto right now is risky. Well, it's risky because I'm not a super duper crypto investor. I invest in crypto and I own lots of different cryptocurrencies, but I'm not putting a lot of my money into it. It's fine. Where there are some people who know crypto super well. And in that case, crypto is not risky for them. The problem is when you delude yourself into thinking that you know crypto when you really don't know crypto. And then you put hundreds of thousands of dollars into crypto, money that you cannot afford to lose, and then crypto collapses because your analysis was wrong. That's what I'm saying here. Again, what Morgan Housel is saying in the book, The Psychology of Money. I recommend you buy it. You can also download these notes that I took from that book on my YouTube channel store for free. You need to avoid ruin at all costs. That means put your ego to the side. Stop assuming that you are an expert. I don't believe covered call investing is risky to me because I've learned how to do something where I'm not putting the money at incredible. It's when you see my little video when I sell the covered calls tomorrow, you'll kind of see. You can make something risky less risky by learning, by experience, by reading. Why do I read? I just bought 3 more books today, or 2 more books. 3 more books today. Well, 2 more. One of them was a novel. And here are 2 more that I bought today that I'm thrilled with. I can't wait to. I've already started reading this one. It is fantastic. Anti-Fragile. Things That Gain from Disorder. And oh my gosh, it's amazing. You know what's funny? Oh, by the way, he's the author of Black Swan. And he's also a former high-risk trader, financial markets. So all of the stuff that he comes up with he learned it by being in the markets and becoming super, super successful with it. And he writes so well. This guy is brilliant. I mean, I didn't realize how brilliant this guy was until I started reading this book. Nassim Nicholas Taleb. And sorry to Morgan Housel, whose book we're talking about today, which is The Psychology of Money. But it's brilliant too, Psychology of Money. But this guy, oh my gosh. I've only read the prologue. It's the first 20 pages, and I'm thinking, I cannot wait to read more in this book. Anyway, riskiness depends on your perspective and your level of experience. For you, maybe investing in real estate is more risky than me. Now, I've done both long-term real estate investments and I've done short-term, meaning Airbnbs. I hate Airbnb. I've already done it now and I got out of it and I realized it's too risky for me. And it's not fun. I don't like running a hotel especially because this real estate stuff is supposed to be part-time. I do not want to be there answering every single phone. How do we start the wood stove? Hey, the door lock's not working. It just snowed. Can you get someone here to shovel the? When you have long-term tenants, you don't do any of that stuff. They handle everything. And so I've learned and I've become very good with long-term tenants, finding good tenants, managing good long-term tenants. Very low risk, quote unquote. Airbnb for me, high risk. There are other people who are the exact opposite, where they love Airbnb, they love being hotel, they know how to manage things easier on a day-to-day basis. For them, short-term rental is no risk. Long-term rental, risk, because they don't know how to find a good long-term tenant for whatever. So you need to think about that. When I say risk, it's defined by you. But what you need to make sure is that you're not deluding yourself into thinking that you are an expert at something when you are a fool at that. And all of us have made those mistakes. Back in 2020, I thought I was much better at covered calls than I actually was. And I made a mistake and lost some money. That tempered me dramatically, and I have not lost money with covered calls since 2021. And consistently just making money from it. That's what I want you guys to do, is try to figure out how to make whatever you're investing in less risky. How do you do that? By learning, by studying, by practicing, by learning from mistakes, and most importantly, not putting all of your money at risk. Only when you, and think about this, I was going to say only when you know for sure that you are an absolute guru and you can never go wrong, can you put 100% of your money into an investment. But when is that? Never. There is not one time that you will be 100% certain of anything. And for example, Tom Cruise. You could think no matter what Tom Cruise movie, it's going to be a huge hit. There have been a couple of Tom Cruise movies that did not do well. Just because you've got a star in your film does not mean that it is going to take off like a rocket. And there are plenty of films with absolutely no names that end up winning Oscars and becoming huge international financial hits. So that's what I'm saying. There is nothing certain. So even when you think you're starting to get good at something, Don't get cocky. What did Morgan Housel say in The Psychology of Money? You need to avoid ruin at all costs. So you need to really do your focus and figure out, what can I do, number one, to not lose my money? Your mission is not, how do I become wealthy? How do I become rich? Many books on investments talk about the easiest and number one way to become wealthy is to just save money and never lose it. Most of us make enough money every year that if we just saved it, we would have a bunch of money saved at the end of 30 years. And there are others who are constantly chasing the next investment, the next big thing, the next Bitcoin. I remember years ago it was Beanie Babies, and everyone was trying to buy Beanie Babies because they were selling like crazy. Back in the 14, 15, 1600s in Denmark or whatever, it was tulips. And there was tulip mania, and tulips was the Bitcoin of the time, because tulips at the time were the mark of royalty. The only people that could afford to get tulips were royalty, because they weren't grown in Denmark or whatever the country was. I think it's Denmark. But then eventually people started saying, let me import these tulips. Let me get some tulips and start planting them. So then became easier because one farmer started selling the tulips. That tulip seller made off like a bandit. But then more and more people started buying these tulips from this guy. And then more and more tulip vendors popped up. Before you know it, tulips were worthless. Worthless. You couldn't even give tulips away. And guess what? Guess who got ruined by that? The people who put all of their money into buying tulips. You've got to avoid financial ruin at all times. And there are some people who put all their money into Bitcoin now and they've lost everything. There are people who put all of their money into there's no way it's going to fail because my restaurant is amazing and I've got the amazing Michelin guide chef, 5-star restaurants, and blah, blah, blah. But you start the restaurant and that's the one, and then next thing you know, he gets involved in some big scandal and gets carted off to jail. Or there's a fire. This is the sad thing. There's somebody who just started a fire. There's someone who just started a business, I'm sure a week ago in California, or a restaurant, and they put everything into this restaurant. It's gone now. It's gone. Do not be cocky, all of you people watching. Not with your finances, not with your relationships. I lost a girlfriend once because I got cocky and thought there was no way she would ever leave me. I mean, that's how egotistical I was. But we're all like that sometimes. We all get full of ourselves and we think we're better than we are. And I thought I was irreplaceable. Oh, she replaced me. And it was humbling. Even to this day, it hurts when I think, oh my gosh, I should have done more. But I learned a valuable lesson, and it really humbled me and realized I should not ever again think that I am the best of the best, never think that I am replaceable, never think that I am infallible, never think that I am the smartest person in the room. And there's a lesson that says if you want to be successful in life, never be the smartest person in the room. Because if you're always the smartest person in the room, you are never learning. Why am I always reading? Why am I always reading? One of the books I just got is Anti-Fragile. I just got this great book. Your Next 5 Moves, Master the Art of Business Strategy. I'm involved with, life is a business. This YouTube channel is a business. Break diving is a business. My investing, is a business. You guys have got to humble yourself. The more I read, the more humble I become, because I'm introduced. But I thought I was an amazing writer until I read this guy. Not only is he a great writer, he is so smart. Oh my gosh. Mind-blowing. All right, let me read some of these comments here. Jackson, hello, Flora. Big skydiving guy, says Jordan Lovell. I have my B license. First is your A license, then your B license. I've got my helmet up there. That's my skydiving helmet. There's my Kino wig. And I go off and I go as a B license. I have to go once every 3 months, or I lose the license, and then I got to go through a whole bunch of training again to get back up to where I was. So I have my deadline is the end of February, so I'm going to go skydiving the next 2 weeks again. Once I get to 200 skydives, I can have a camera with me or use my phone. I'm going to get a mount for a phone like this that has a cell phone service, and I'm going to start doing live streams of my skydiving, because I think that would be just mind-blowing. And I think if I can get there, I think that'll certainly be something that would launch my channel. If people go, dude, this guy gives life advice and talks about all these different topics and money. He's at the drop zone, and then you just go onto the airplane with him. And then he jumps out of the airplane and you see him, everything. And so I think that'll be interesting. How you doing, Coconut the Wizard? Let's see. V says, I hope you're doing great, Flora. I hope all of you are doing great. Flora says, thank you so much. I have the virus. Hope you're doing well. Flora says, thank you so much, V. Kiana says, sup? What's up, Kiana? Nico says, hi, I was here a couple days ago. I remember you, Nico. Great to have you back. And Flora says, I made you a Turkish coffee. You know what? I was wondering what smelled so good. I thought it was me, because I'm so full of myself. And I thought, wow, I smell like Turkish coffee today. I am really awesome. I am the best investor in the world. I smell like Turkish coffee. Thank you for bringing me down a notch and reminding me, oh, no, it was your Turkish coffee that I was smelling. So I'm gonna stop this lesson here. And again, I'm just summarizing my notes from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Please read the book. I think it would be really great. This is just an introduction to it. I hope I inspire you to go actually read the book. You will learn a lot of other lessons, because things that I underlined may not be the things that resonate with you. So these are just my perspective. But avoid ruin at all costs. I think that's a summary of all the things that we were talking about today. Look through your finances. Think about, let me just give a quick summary. How do you do the exercise that I gave you? Which is, and this is not a Morgan Housel exercise, this is just something I'm telling you to do. Really make a list saying, what would happen if this? It includes the people in your life if they die or become incapacitated. So I'll do it for my example. What happens if my mother dies? How is that going to impact me? Let's just talk about finances for right now. Let's not talk about emotions and politics. If my mother dies, how does that impact me financially? If I die, how is that going to impact my mother financially? If I don't get another job soon, how will that impact my investments and savings? If I don't get the brake diving mobile app released on the App Store by February, how is that going to impact the finances of brake diving? If I don't get the brake diving YouTube channel monetized and earning $200 a month in super chats by June, how will that affect brake diving finances? If I don't continue to learn more about business and finance and strategy, how is that going to affect my finances? If I spend 6 hours a day watching television, how is that going to affect my finances? If I don't clean out my email box, how is that going to affect my finances? If I don't finish all of these books on iron condors and iron butterflies and turn it from, in my mind, a risky endeavor into a money-making, profitable venture, how will that affect my finances? If I don't figure out how to start making $1,000 a month from YouTube, from this channel, how will that affect my finances? It goes on and on and on. I went to the doctor today. Okay, if I don't stay healthy, how will that affect my finances? If I don't I have fine cholesterol, but they had some anomaly a year ago saying that I have a little bit elevated. Now they did a new blood test or whatever, and it was just, I have fine cholesterol. There's no problem. But I went back to just make sure, is my cholesterol fine? And it is. Again, if you don't have good health, how is that going to affect your ability to make money at your job? If you lose your job today, how will that affect your finances? I mean, I'm asking these questions all the time. And this is why I've saved up and I've invested so much money that I can sit here and go on YouTube with you guys only making $1.99 because I am financially secure from a savings and investment perspective. I don't want any more of my savings to be used. I don't want any more of my investments to be sold. So I thought that YouTube would have taken off a lot sooner. It didn't. That's life. But it still has great potential. And I have a really cool interview guest, maybe, that I might be able to secure. We'll see if it happens. If it does, that could have a great impact on my channel. But I'm thinking about going back and teaching at Education First. I'm going to ask if I can just do my one class a week. I'm going to ask what part-time is. We were at the doc. I took my mom to the dermatologist too, and she has 0 skin cancer, which is fantastic. And I'm really, really glad to hear that. And on the way back was just horrible traffic again, and we were talking about, oh my gosh, this traffic is terrible in Miami. Living on Miami Beach is so much easier, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just thinking, you know what? I think I'd rather work at EF, where I'm basically doing exactly what I'm doing here, but to a live class of like 20 to 30 students from around the world. And I'm thinking, I could go back to EF. I think they'll hire me again. It'd be so much fun. I get to teach. I can stop the depletion of my savings and investments, make new friends with colleagues and students, and I could just pass on my YouTube card to all the students. Every week, new students arrive at the school. I mean, I think I could get hundreds and hundreds of new subscribers. A lot of my subscribers, even on here, sometimes you see them arrive and they're from their former students. And I'm thinking, well, that's a great place to inspire. And I already talked, I said, if I go back, I would want to do a YouTube monetization class. And so I'm just going to help all of them become YouTubers and say, hey, part of this, yes, is you got to subscribe to my channel and come to my live streams to see how I do it. And say you guys need to come and appear as a guest on my live streams. I mean, I'm thinking synergistic diversification, which is a concept I talk about in my books, The Theatrical Juggernaut and Time Zen. Try to use your time more efficiently by combining lots of different things together. And I'm starting to think, I think it's a really smart idea for me to go back to teach at EF. There's so many benefits from doing that. So anyway, Flora's clapping. Flora says, Monroe, you just maybe check under my pillow if my money was there. And that's another reason, Flora, why you've got to don't keep all of your money in one place, because that makes you feel anxious. You're always checking the thing that I'm looking at, like the thing I like about the iron condors and the iron butterflies, and to an extent, the way I do covered calls now, I don't have to look at it. I sell the covered call and I pick the expiration date and the strike price, and I just wait 3 days and I don't have to check the price of the S&P 500. Whereas what I used to do was a different strategy, and it didn't work like this. It was just stressing me out. So I'm finding an iron condor, iron butterfly strategy that I can go to sleep at night and have no problem. Wake up, have no problem. Flora says my cholesterol is high as well. Well, my cholesterol is not high. It was a false alarm. But I hope that you can reduce your cholesterol, and I hope you can increase the amount of money that's under your pillow. So a reminder, again, I'm giving you summary insights from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. The name of this segment is called Rose Reads. I thank Jamie, who helped me come up with that name, Jamie and ChatGPT. So guys, avoid ruin. at all costs. One way that you can avoid financial ruin and increase your potential, investment potential, keep watching my live streams. I have we still have how many pages on this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of notes from Psychology of Money, which means I've got about another 6 live streams about the psychology of money to guide you. And I got a million other financial books that I'm going to be doing these Rose Reads for as well. So thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for clicking like. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the ads. Jamie, thanks for the $1.99 super chat. And as I mention it all the time, I don't have super fans unless you are sharing my channel and my videos with other people. I love that each of you are here. The way that this channel grows is that each of you finds some person, a random person, a friend, a colleague, a family member, and says, hey, or you're talking with somebody like, oh my gosh, I have a YouTube channel that you would love. Yeah, his name's Monroe Mann. Do you have your phone? Let me just, can you open up YouTube? You can subscribe right now. And just grab, and you say, oh, do you want me to do it for you? Just grab the phone, type in Monroe, subscribe, and then turn on all notifications. Literally, you do that. If you have a YouTube channel, that's how you can grow your channel. If you want to grow my channel, then you do that and tell them, oh, and subscribe to the breakdiving channel too. Blah, 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 blah. I'm doing an experiment right after this. I'm doing a breakdiving live stream for about 30 minutes. If any of you want to go, we're going to do another aspect of the Divers Code, which is one of our member, what unites breakdivers around the world. So if you would like, you can come to the breakdiving channel right after that, in probably about 30 minutes, but it'll be equally inspiring, and I would love to see you there. Jamie, you are welcome. Flora, you are welcome. To the rest of you here, thank you so much. I hope you found this entertaining, informative, educational, inspiring. I love you guys, and I hope that you will check out The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And until next time, I'm going to share you some more thoughts from his book and, of course, my perspective and analysis on what he shares. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. Bye.